Hello, welcome to episode 5 of Who on Earth. This one with a very good friend of mine, Ben Riley, aka Ben SOS, leader of the Drywave revolution. He's been on BBC Breakfast, Manchester Evening News have been on to him, all because Ben has gone from the depths of hell, strong drug addictions, losing everything he ever wanted, ending up in prison, to taking himself out of that and then being somebody who is then an entrepreneur and getting the sober revolution going, sober clubbing. He's got people like, you remember, I'll bring you flowers in the pouring rain. You've got 21 seconds to go at the next one on the 9th. Remember that? 21 seconds to go with like Lisa Mafia, you got Romeo. He's even had N-Trance there as well. He's had Baby Cakes. You just don't know, no. And it's all about how he's got from this depth of deep drug addiction out of that. Now, I warn you, it abruptly cuts off because I had a few issues with sound you heard in the Ruben one, and we were messing about. He's an MC, so I Ben, have a little look. Turns out we'd forgot to plug the microphone in, so we ended up using the footage from the video that we had on the iPhone, but the iPhone ran out of storage, so it all of a sudden just cuts out on us. But it was a blessing in disguise, because he's doing so much work. He's helping young people, he's helping people who are struggling with drug addiction and who have been where he's been, so he had to rush off to help some young people. Didn't quite get into the second relapse and the good work he was doing, so it gave us a reason to do a part 2. So this is part 1. I want you to enjoy it. Now, guys, it's new. Any shares, any likes, anything you can do to help this grow, because I love having these conversations. Let's let them know who on earth is, yeah? But first, guys, a little word about our sponsors, Transmute. Oh, actually, speaking of Transmute, on the 10th, after the Drywave event, we've actually got Cushiony Love and Carrie Tree. They're both going to be coming on. They've been performing at festivals like your Medicine Festivals, your All About Loves, where we've had Ruben from. They're going to be doing a performance at Transmute on the 10th. Carrie's going to do a little workshop in the day using creativity through the voice. We'll definitely get down for that, but definitely get down for the gig, because we've got Cushiony Love, we've got Carrie Tree, special guest Shmoo, and maybe a little bit of meditation with Michael. Book your tickets, guys. I'll put a little link in this. Otherwise, now let's speak about Transmute. Come here a moment. Do you want to expand your awareness? Tap into your creativity? Well then, you need look no further than Transmute Studios. I want you to picture this. You're there learning traditional African drumming with the mesmerising Mustafa. Or maybe you've gone down to extreme hip hop, where Amy Azari actually makes fitness fun. And for those men out there that really want to see what they're made of, we've got Caveman, high intensity interval training, where Transmute have created a real brotherhood. And it doesn't end there. We've even got transmorphic breathwork by the founder of Transmute himself, Mr. Joshua Obazuki. And let's not forget about the spectacular events that they've got on. We're talking things like Arignani, ceremonial ecstatic dance by the very talented DJ Wizardry. Or maybe you want to indulge yourself. Come to one of the sound baths where you're suspended in hammocks. And speaking of hammocks, meditation with Michael himself also does floating meditation journeys. That's where we're using storytelling, meditation and music to take you on an epic adventure of the imagination there, so you can heal, a bit of self-discovery. And they've even got workshops, classes, things like Art of the Cosmos, naturopathic nutrition, tantric exploration, and so much more. So those horizons are waiting to be crossed. Come and dive into the limitless possibilities. Go down to transmutestudio.co.uk, find out where awareness meets creativity. Transmute Studio. Come down and play. Alright, we got there in the end, didn't we?
We did.
Welcome to Who on Earth, Ben Riley, aka SOS, very good friend of mine. So this is simple. We're just going to ask a few questions, find out who on earth Ben is.
Who on earth? Who on earth do you think? That's what I think when I think who on earth. Who on earth do you think you are? I used to get asked that a lot when I was in school, for teachers. just because of the character that I was, like, who on earth do you think you are?
Where did you get the name?
And I was that one kid out of 30 kids that could disrupt the whole class, and I think when I was at school, he was just looked upon as, a rebel, naughty kid. I mean, that's one thing that I got branded with from an early age. I mean, I can always remember being that naughty kid. I've got a twin brother, right? And he's just as bad. I was just,
Lucky for your mother.
Well, lucky for my mum. Let's not play with labels. We were both adventurous, energetic explorers, right? And we wanted that space to release our energy and go exploring. If it wasn't Tom being, and I quote, naughty, it was me being naughty. So it's them bloody twins all
Identical
the time.
twins as well.
We are identical twins, yeah, but we don't look the same now.
Okay.
Yeah, so an identical twin is born from the same egg, yeah, and non-identical twins are two separate eggs. Each type of twin can either look exactly the same or different, or look the same as they're growing up. Usually by like puberty, you start to change your features and stuff. One might be into eating cake more than another, so you start to change them kind of.
Environment plays
the environment plays a part. Environment always plays a part on who on earth you think you are.
Nice. I'll drop you that tenner later.
There you go. I'll just keep dropping it in. I'm good at that. I'm good with words. I've always been good with words. But yeah, so that question was always asked, like, who on earth do you think you are? And it was always asked in a condescending and patronising and that low vibrational way, like, who on earth do you think you are?
Not who on earth do you think you are? Let's find out.
Who on earth are you? What's your identity? What is it that you love? What is your value? What are your skills? What's your art? What's your...
Just so you know, that's what we're doing this time.
And that's what we're doing, man.
We're going to heal that trauma.
Yes, that trauma's getting healed right now. So, thanks for the space and thanks for the...
I appreciate you. Because I know you're busy, like, you've already had about 14 people that you were either working with or young boys that you're helping. One of them was even saying, like, it was great. I wanted to plug this in, like, just an inspiration. And it wasn't like we plugged that in, he was just saying, like...
Well, that young lad, funnily enough, it must have been... I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, I was facilitating a workshop in Stockport, right? Just in the market. And you kind of do these workshops and you meet all these young boys and girls, and they're all, really into exploring creativity, and a great way to do that is through music. And that's one thing that I kind of got onto. That's my tool. To allow people to use, and I encourage the use of music to explore creativity, right? And it was like, I did this workshop with them, and you always remember them. You always remember the young people because they've all got these like unique identities and energies, and they may not crop up in your memory, constantly, but when you see them, you go, oh, okay, and funnily enough, I was picking up some young boys and girls to go and do or young men and women actually, to go and do a workshop over in Clayton, and this lad comes running out of the Beretta Lounge, and he's like Ben, and I just kind of barely recognised him. He's like, do you remember that workshop over at the market in Stockport? I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, oh, well, it's me. I won't say his name, but he's like, oh, it's me. And, you really helped me out. I'm still loving music. I'm still writing. I'm still expressing myself through lyrics. And I was like, well, that's brilliant. And he said, but I've been in a bit of a space where I've gone off path a little bit. But you looked well. Yeah. And I said, have you been going to the gym? He said, yeah, I've got into the gym. And for me, that, taking care of your body and especially going to the gym. I mean, that requires a hell of a lot of discipline.
Well, so we know each other through willpower.
Well, this is it, through
Shout
willpower.
out to willpower.
Shout out to willpower. So, I mean, willpower, just getting on to him, which is a really nice segue. So, myself and Will now run this full circle course, right, for young people to really come. It's a hanging jam. It's come and chill with me and Will. Oh, well, hang on.
Are you a rapper?
Am I a rapper? Come and chill with me and Will. You don't need drugs, you don't need pills.
There you go.
It's a bit of a shit rap, but hey ho. So, and it really is a reflection of the way that me and Willpower live our lives. And it's like, come and connect with like-minded people. Come and set intention for the week. Come and set routine. Come and, explore that, inner self, so we ask kind of, explorative questions. We do some circles and some check-ins and stuff. Meditate,
Meditation with Michael Cruz. Right?
Meditation with Michael Cruz with that. Don't forget, Michael does a meditation with Michael.
I barely mention it to people.
He doesn't mention it at all. So, we explore all these really cool pathways that me and Willpower and, a lot of our friends, I know that you use all these pathways as well. We call it the 5 ways to wellbeing. We exercise, and we also create music videos and art and all sorts of cool stuff. And within that, we just kind of listen to what's going on. And, it doesn't take long when people are just kind of exploring and creating before they start to speak about their passion.
Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? This art is just you projecting to the world what's within.
Exactly.
But I do love what you're talking about, but I want to just rewind a little bit now. It's Who on Earth Are You? I appreciate all this, but we are putting the spotlight on you. We started actually at a great space. You said when you were in school. So if you wouldn't mind just giving the listeners, where are you from? Where are you from? What was it like when you were younger?
Right, well I'm a Stockport lad. I was brought up in Edgeley for 22 years. School for me was difficult. I was a very lonely, or I felt very lonely. I could be lonely in a full bloody room. I was very introspective, extreme. I could, my thoughts were so bloody loud as a kid, and so difficult to decipher as well, because you've got all these positive and negative thoughts swimming around your brain, and you're identifying with them all. And, along with all the great thoughts and all the fun and the games you play and the adventures you can play with your thoughts, especially as a kid, there's also a lot of guilt and shame and negative thoughts, which today it's like, fine,
Well, you've learned as an adult how to integrate where it's coming from. But as a kid,
you just don't bloody know. So you're like,
it's not what they teach you in school, is it?
We were taught nothing about, that inner self, nothing at all. And I found that really difficult.
Have you got any examples for us, how that sort of manifested in your life at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think it manifested in being hyper aware. I was hyper aware of myself. So I felt like I stood out, I felt like I stood out, and to compensate for that, I acted as though I stood out. It was like the world was my stage and everybody else in it was my audience. And to make myself feel comfortable, because I stood out so much, I'd make people look, and that's really what I've kind of deciphered as I've looked back. So I was an outrageous young lad, like completely outrageous, and I took high risks, and again, I was able to disturb a class of 30 and 29 other kids couldn't, I had high leadership qualities. high creativity. I was highly open, highly explorative, and that was looked upon as like a no-no. You know, it's like
madness, really.
It's just this kid, you know, he's just completely nuts. Today it would be looked at as ADHD. You know, they throw all sorts of labels at you, but back then I was just a naughty little boy, and that stuck, and that label really stuck, and that was difficult because you know, you're always on eggshells. You always think that somebody's there, just they're gonna catch you out, and they're gonna catch you out soon, you know, because you're gonna mess up, you know. So I was always constantly
looking over your shoulder by the time.
Yeah, always looking over my shoulder, and again, that really reflected on my inner maelstrom of, you know, difficult thinking, and again made me feel hyper aware because, you know, I'd just be waiting for that. Ben, what are you doing? What are you doing? Stop that, naughty boy! And it was just constantly so.
Was it the same at home as well, or just
exactly this? I mean, at home was, I felt as though that's my phone again ringing. It's constantly ringing. At home, I felt like I couldn't move, and this is just what I remember. I mean, you know, I love mum and dad to bits. In fact, I spent some time with them a couple of days ago. I went down to my mum's. She lives in Barrowford, and we had a lovely time together. But you know, I kind of felt as though I was always being watched. You know, I couldn't move, couldn't go to the toilet without, where are you going? What are you doing? You know, I couldn't go for a biscuit, what are you doing? What are you doing?
What are you up to?
What are you up to? All that. So again, you know, and that caused anxiety. It caused an awful lot of anxiety. And you know, I remember kind of moving through school, going through primary school into secondary school, and still having that label. It was almost like secondary school were pre-warned that you got, you know, a pair of twins coming in.
They're a bit of a handful.
They're a bit of a handful, and also being a twin, you are paraded around like, you know, it's like a freak show, you know. And so me and my brother Tom were parading into classes, you know, one wearing a red jumper, one wearing a blue jumper, and okay, which one's Ben, which one's Tom, and then we were taken out of the class, made to swap jumpers again, and paraded back in. Okay, class, can you tell the difference? Can you imagine this shit? Can you imagine that?
As if it's some sort of getting show.
It was just horrific. And obviously, you've always got, you know, as you know, children are cute anyway, yeah, and I'm sure a lot of parents go, oh, your child's lovely, your child. Well, when you're a bloody twin, you know, it's like, oh, we were just like adored, you know, by everybody. But that's quite overwhelming, right? Okay. It must be for kids. I can only imagine how overwhelming that is, that you're always, the attention is always on you, you know. And I know, you know, a lot of attention's on kids anyway, because they're on these little adventures, and you know, the adults are quite jealous because they wish they were still on that bloody adventure as well. So, you know, there's a thing with kids that you just kind of watch them and be like, wow, like, what are they up to, you know, exploring this crazy ass world. And we really wish we could be there, but for twins it was like double trouble.
So the whole of the high school then, was that just...
Well, high school high school was a bit of a break. It was almost like my playground. I remember using it as my playground. I was just like totally like insane, you know, and I used it as a space just to, like, you know, have fun, make people laugh. I was a comedian. I was the joker of the class. Again, extremely disruptive. I think, you know, like, first year was kind of okay, but then second year I'd be playing up. but first year Tom was playing up, and then third year, you know, it'd either be me or Tom playing up, one or the other.
That was?
I don't know, you know. Maybe it was some sort of universal law.
Some sort of balancing act.
Mate, I've always thought this. You know, so I'm also, and I mean, I'll just kind of skip forward a little bit, but I will come back to this.
Okay, go on.
But I'm also an addict, right? So, you know, just as a kind of little segue, when I picked up cannabis, I was like, fucking hell, nice.
How old was that?
13, you know, 12, 13, picked up cannabis. I was like, yo, this is my friend. It chilled me out. It stopped the whole thinking that life was all about me kind of thing. I was just able to chill, relax. I mean, you know, right?
I can absolutely relate.
You can relate.
That was exactly the same age I found it as well.
Right.
A friend who was into it, oh, try this out, and at the first time it's like, whoa. I can relate. So I've not spoke because it's your story, but I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's me.
Well, that's your story, yeah. I know a little bit.
Michael, what are you up to? Shut up, Michael. Stop doing that, Michael. And then the weed was just like,
I mean, because you're quite adventurous, you're creative, you can see it in your face.
Of course.
You know, I can imagine you when you was a kid, you'd have been just a cheeky little boy, right?
Handful.
But you can tell it's in you.
But so much insecurity. So
yes.
People thought he's arrogant, he's loud, he's obnoxious, he's naughty. That's just how my energy, which was high energy already, then manifested in this unskillful child. So yeah, not about me, but yeah, I can understand exactly that when that weed turned up, it was like, just.
And it is unskillful, you know. It's not able. We wasn't able to be responsible for ourselves.
13 years old.
You know, and responsibility is a great word. I love to say this. It's two words. It's responsibility. You know, so it's having the abilities to respond to life, right? You know, and yeah, it's you know, it's something that I didn't have. But just moving back to what I wanted to say about that kind of balance, that universal balance between me and Tom. What we've always found is either I'll be going through a really tough period of addiction and I'll get clean, sober. But then Tom will be going through a really tough period of addiction. He'll get clean and sober, and then I'll then relapse. And there's always been that. Really kind of, it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's quite obvious that is actually going on. That pattern of, you know, relapse and clean and sober and thing, as you know, has gone on for many years. You know, thankfully, I mean, I sit here today at 2 years clean and sober, right? Which is amazing.
Well done.
So, you know, I relapsed 2 years ago. I had a 24-hour relapse, which I explained it in a status today, which really showed me who I don't want to be. You know, so going back to the title of the show, which is
Who on Earth?
Who on Earth?
You don't want to be.
Yeah, who on earth don't I want to be? I think is the question. And I know exactly who I don't want to be because I've been it, you know. And
well, let's rewind to that then. So you picked up the weed. This has now helped you settle.
Yeah.
Was that just a little bit of dabbling at first?
No, not at all. Straight away. Loved
extreme.
It. Yeah, loved it. Straight away, extreme, and straight away going towards ways that I could get it even when I didn't have the money. You know, so doing things that you know, like I'd lie to mum and dad for money. I'd, you know, sell computer games. I'd steal stuff from shops and sell them, sell the items. I would, you know, I'd go to lengths to get the cannabis, you know. I'd always want to keep a couple of spliffs at night as well, you know, once.
So how many a day are we talking we're having then?
Well, we're talking, you know, when I was young, it was like, well, it was solid back then, wasn't it?
So obviously you were having, was it
Sputnik?
Yeah.
That's right.
The brown.
Yeah, the brown bit. Yeah, the brown stuff. So we were smoking Sputnik, so we'd smoke like a teeth a day, you know, which is only a fiver.
But to a 13-year-old?
To a 13-year-old or an eighth. Depending how much we had, we'd just smoke it. And I remember getting onto bongs because they give you a harder hit. You know, and then I remember getting onto the fact that if I put like loads of dimp tobacco into the bong, I'd get, first thing in the morning, with a load of weed on top of it, I'd just get this ultimate nicotine rush, plus the weed, plus that, I mean, I'd feel like I was sinking into the bed. I'd just do anything to get me higher than the last hit, right? You know, moving up.
Always craving more.
Yeah, always craving more, and then you got the bucket bongs, and you know, just going to different ways of being able to get higher than high, right?
Is this starting to spill into the late teens now?
Absolutely. You know, moving up to 15, it was like acids came on the scene.
Okay.
So summertime as a 15-year-old was, you know, magical, kind of tropical, very colourful, all of that kind of stuff, you know. Goalposts were starting to move, you know, because weed was all right. It's like, you know, well, at least I'm not taking acid. And then it's like, well, you know, I might as well try acid once. And then we like buying 200 sheets and selling them. And we used to lick the 200 sheets of acid before we'd sell them, so we'd get high as fuck and then go and sell the acids to other people. And so they'd be eating our spit and all sorts of stuff. We'd all bloody be licking all the sheets and just getting extremely high, and also taking them every bloody day, you know. And
so no balance at all.
No balance at all. And for a young person, we all. Oh man, well, you know, everyone started to get mentally ill. There was 7 or 8 of us that used to kind of hang about and do these acids and stuff, and we all started to develop mental illness. And you know, again, it was quite clear what was going on, and we all had to make a pact not to do acids again.
What was it? How did it manifest for you, that mental illness?
Well, just in feeling really sad, really depressed, you know, walking home crying, paranoid, not wanting to go and see mum and dad, having to hide out, all that kind of crazy stuff. It just wasn't nice, you know. And for a young person still exploring the world and stuff, you know, and exploring 4th dimensional, 5th dimensional worlds at the same time, not cool at all.
3D one's hard enough.
it really is. The 3D one is hard enough, and probably one of the reasons why I had to move towards drugs, you know, because it took me away from the 3D. I didn't have to be responsible. I didn't have to live.
Relate to that.
You can relate
you know
to
what?
that.
If I'm high, you can't expect me to do that.
Yeah.
I can't be expected to do that. I'm high as fuck.
No responsibility. But
so you made this pact.
So we all made this pact, and we stopped. We were just like, okay, you know, we're gonna stop, but we continued the weed and that was just a thing. Weed every day, you know, you're talking a 20 bag a day by now, you know, which is 140 quid a week.
Tolerance is going up.
You know, again, the ability to have no responsibility is going higher. That voice in your head that allows for justification is getting stronger and stronger. I did manage to find myself some work, and probably the driving force was to get money so I could smoke weed. You know, and you know, I did a couple of jobs, but I fell into window cleaning. It was something I really enjoyed. I was a window cleaner for many years, but cocaine came around.
That's turned up now, has it then?
Cocaine's turned up.
How's that come about then?
No, first it was pills, mate. First it was pills, obviously. You know, 18, 19. going to a couple of the old school raves, and having a couple of pills and dancing all bloody night. And morning. But, you know, finding that I didn't really want to be in a rave and pilling.
Okay.
I wanted more. You know, I'd get like 2,000 and I'd be selling all these I'd sit in a flat munching these pills and selling them at the same time and just absolutely smashed. Just eating them like bloody biscuits. I mean, they were disco biscuits, but this was taking the bloody biscuit. How many more biscuit buns can you throw into that?
I think you've done it, mate.
There was a couple there, weren't there? Got any biscuits?
Do you know
I'm
what?
alright.
Because with a naturopathic nutritionist nowadays, it's like.
Do you know what? I don't even. Yeah.
I don't even like. Someone's like, "How do you not have 12s? How do you not have that?" And I'm like, "What?"
No, mate. I cannot have biscuits at my house because I will go. I'll just go through them all. I mean, I was telling you today, like I wanted to have a cheesecake, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, you just stuff your pockets with cheesecake and just."
He's painting me bad. I said, "Do what you want."
He said, "Do whatever you want." But I was like, "No, I'm not having cheesecake." You know, I did a 24-hour fast, which shows like
where you come from.
Where I've come from. You know, I take a lot of responsibility now for my health and well-being, but I didn't back then. So we're taking an awful lot of pills. Everything was extreme. Goalposts were moving all the time.
So the cocaine's now turned up.
So then cocaine turned up, and again, I just wanted it all the time. In fact, it got to a point. So this is interesting, and this has been noted in Ben's Akashic records. Is that Ben wanted cocaine that much, and because I was working and I had money, you know, so I buy like an eighth or a couple of eighths, you know, like a quarter, you know, and the other lads were only able to afford a gram or two. So when their gram or two was gone, they'd be like, "Come and have, you know, can I have some of yours, Ben?" And I was that selfish with my drugs that eventually I stopped hanging about with my mates. Just so I could sit at home and use drugs on my own, you know. And if I knew what I knew now, right, it was so apparent that I was bodily and mentally different from my counterparts. And what I mean by that is, some people can drink and leave it. Some people can smoke weed and leave it. Most people can smoke weed. 97% of people that smoke weed will just have a couple of splits and leave it. 97% of people that drink, you know, some might go out and have a bad weekend, but you can leave it.
Generally not alcohol.
It's generally, you know, some people have a couple of nights, you can leave it. But I was different.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I don't know whether you're born with this affliction. I don't know whether you're born with it or it's something that kind of manifests over time. You're predisposed to it. I think I was predisposed because from the second that I bloody smoked weed, it was game on. You know, it was game on. I think I was addicted to other stuff when it was.
We're talking about like games, like chocolate, TV, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think, you know, when I was a kid, I think I was like, you know, when I first found out what my willy did, I couldn't bloody stop playing with that. No, seriously though, and I think it's important to kind of recognise that them addictions start early, right? And for me, that's kind of where it started. It started with lust. A lot of it started with lust, and you know, and I think when I actually look back and get honest, you know, a lot of the smoking weed and the lust was all somewhat combined in a weird way, you know. So lusting after friendships as well. So you know, I was addicted to people, places, things, situations, drink, drugs, sex, you name it, and I got hooked on it, you know, and that's the truth, you know. And I think sometimes it's right to bear all and just to be transparent, and I've had to do a lot of like retrospective thinking and really kind of take myself apart and use that lens of truth to look at who Ben is, what are Ben's behaviours, where can Ben go to when exploring his shadow, because that's really a lot of what I did when I was younger, was always exploring that shadow, taking them high risks, drink, drugs, people, places, things, sex, even the games we played were high bloody risk. I mean, we used to play manhunt, but it wasn't your usual manhunt. It was with rocks and sticks and metal bars, and we'd chase each other about, leathering each other, you know, and really hurting, you know. Ambulances were called, and we were really like...
It sounds like you're addicted to stimulation.
Oh, big time. You know, big time. I mean, I guess anything that would take you out of the hell of
where you were
sitting with you, you know, being in that mind, and what had become a real kind of toxic environment as well, that inner monologue had become extremely toxic. So in terms of my self-esteem and my confidence was so low, but, you know, I mean, people used to say, oh God, he's a confident lad. It's like, far from it. Far from it. You know, I was extremely low in self-confidence, self-esteem.
Because people can think, oh, they're arrogant, they're attention-seeking.
Yeah, you're far
Anyone
from it.
asks why?
You know what else? I never came across anybody that was like me. You know,
quite alienating, that.
It's quite alienating. Or somebody that had been like me but wasn't there anymore. And that's what I needed to come into my life, and maybe that's a part of the story that'll come up later.
Yeah, of course. So we'll go back then. We've had the pills, we've got cocaine.
Yeah.
Mates are starting to piss you off. They're asking to, I'm going to go home. I'd rather the cocaine than the mates.
Yeah.
What's going on then?
Well, I'm just continuing. I'm finding people that like me, number one. You know, I want to be around people that are of the same nature as me, you know, so you start to find other addicts, you start to find other men and women that are like you, right? And you start to surround yourself with these people. You know, so everybody's kind of crazy.
It starts becoming normal.
It starts becoming normal, mate. Like, and that was the argument with mum and dad. It's like, what? Everybody's like this, you know. We used to watch people going to work in the morning and think, you fucking dickheads, like, what are you doing? You know, people cutting the grass who we couldn't stand them. We'd still be getting wired, and, you know, 7:30, 8 o'clock, you'd hear the grass getting cut outside at, you know, as you're chilling at someone's gaff and wired out your face, and we think, what a fucking idiot doing that. Anybody who took responsibility for their life were looked down upon, and we were the ones having fun.
Oh, it's like they were mirroring to you what you didn't want.
Yeah, exactly that, mate. You couldn't have said it better, you know. And it was just, looking back now, it was like insanity. It was becoming insanity. And I'll tell you why I've had to look at this as well. You know, as you're taking it, okay, so let's talk about somebody that doesn't take drugs every bloody day. You know, if they do something wrong, like, I don't know, you know, call somebody a name, or, you know, do a behaviour which has a negative impact. What then happens is they feel guilt and shame, and then they get to, you know, do a little bit of introspective work and be like, you know, I didn't like that feeling of guilt and shame. I didn't like the consequence of what happened when I made David cry or Sarah cry, or, you know, maybe I shouldn't have lied about that 20 quid that, you know, I took.
They've had to feel how it's made them
Yeah,
feel.
they have to sit and they have to feel it, and then they have to do something about it, you know. And it might not actually be an apology, but it might be they have to do something different the next time a certain situation, a similar situation comes around. Somebody that's taking drinking drugs and, you know, has no ability to look at themselves and, you know, question their own thinking and have that introspective talk with themselves about who they want to be and who their higher self is, and, you know, what their goals are and what sort of...
Sounds like finding out who on earth you actually are.
Yes. Well, I could never find out who on earth I actually was because I had this affliction with addiction, right? And therefore, my thinking became less and less socially acceptable, became more and more insane, you know, in fact to the point where I was locked up in hospitals and institutions.
Okay. How old is this now then?
Well, you know, so this is getting to... So, I remember, you know, my drug of choice ended with cocaine. And somebody told me how to turn that cocaine into crack cocaine, right? And I mean, I didn't even know you could buy crack cocaine on the streets. Crack cocaine was just something you saw in the movies, right? But you know, somebody showed me how to turn it into, how to take out the impurities is what they told me. It's like, you know, Ben, you do know that cocaine's got loads of impurities in it. It's like, oh, okay. And, you know, I know how to take them out. Okay, cool. Show me. And I was always quite, you know, like, I was always into science and stuff. So I kind of like this idea of, like, boiling this cocaine in a spoon with,
going all
you
Breaking
know,
Bad.
and yeah, we're going all Breaking Bad. I'm not going to go into how to make crack cocaine,
No.
guys, by the way.
I know that's what you came
So
in for.
that's what you came for, but you're not getting it. So,
But you're learning now.
but yeah, so, you know, that's what we used to do. We used to get the cocaine, and then we'd take out the impurities, and then we'd smoke what was left. And we're smoking crack. Well, essentially, we're smoking, you know, freebase crack cocaine, right? And that really became a thing. You know, I mean, the feeling once that's gone is just terrible.
What's the feeling whilst it's there? What's it doing?
Well,
for
whilst
you?
it's there, it's just, you know, it's releasing epic amounts of dopamine, right? So you are just high as a motherfucker, you know, and I mean, like, the highest you can get, right?
Yeah.
Well, so I thought. That's another story, though.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. So, yeah, you're just high and you can't wait for the next hit. So, you know, you're having pipe after pipe after pipe.
So I imagine if the high is that high, the low, and that's
The
what's
low's super low, you know.
What is that? Could you describe that?
Well,
to
you're
people
just
again?
gagging to get high again.
What's the feeling?
Paranoia, emptiness. It's like the world's over, mate. You know, it's really, it was just terrible. The world was a terrible place without crack cocaine, you know. I mean, the crack became your life, you know, it really did become your life. And, you know, I remember smoking this shit for a while here and there, and ended up going to this house with a couple of lads who also smoked crack, and they actually got on the phone to somebody to bring them crack cocaine over, right? You know, as a dealer. And they brought crack cocaine, but they also brought something else with them, right? Which was a little brown powder. And I'm like, oh, you know, because by that time it's like, I'll have anything. Like, can I have a bit of it? You know, and it's like, no, you're not having a bit of this. I was like, oh, come on. I was like, no, you don't need a bit of this. And I was like, okay, cool. And they had a bag of it, and then the lad said, you know, you need to go now. So we all left, and I think, yeah, they had another bag left, and we went around the side of these flats, and they put this brown powder into some tin foil, and they were smoking it. on this tinfoil, and I was just watching them. They wouldn't give me none again, and but I was always quite on it, and I saw that they weren't doing it properly. You know, not that I knew how to do it, but they were leaving loads of this. I mean, the powder turns into like a little brown beetle, and there was loads of this brown beetle all over this bloody piece of tin foil. And they literally, they were just fucking about, and they kind of got as much as they could. I think they must have been quite new to it themselves.
Okay.
And they screwed up this tin foil and threw it. Well, I went and picked up the tin foil and put it in my pocket, and I didn't say anything. And, you know, I went home, which is where my brother was. And I think we must have scored crack cocaine, and that horrible feeling came up again. Oh God, I really want some more. How can we get some? Is there anything we can sell? Can we rob anything? Can we do anything to get someone? This conversation started, and I said, I've got something in my pocket, you know. He said, what? I said, well, it's this shit that these guys, I said, I think it's smack, I think it's heroin. And Tom's like, let me have a look. So I got the tinfoil out, and Tom was very careful. So what I didn't know was he'd actually done a bit of a 360 around the UK at some point and actually got on heroin.
Oh,
so he'd been on it for a while.
And you didn't know that?
I didn't know that. And he's carefully opened this tinfoil, and there was loads of bloody brown stuff, and he's heated these little brown bits, and he kind of pulled them all back together again, and we end up with this pretty big brown slug of heroin, right? And he says, right, just, you know, here's a tube, just smoke it, you know, I'll show you how to do it. And he showed me, and this feeling, I can feel it now, just talking about it. It's like, whoa, it's warm glow, and just like, oh God, all that feeling of wanting that crack and wanting to go and do something horrible to get it, and just went, it's like, wow, I said, okay, now, wow, man, I can almost feel it now talking about it. Something that I don't talk about too often.
I mean, I appreciate you being this vulnerable. I can imagine this is hard to go through again for you, in a sense.
Yeah, I think it's just...
Are you tired of feeling run down? Maybe you're struggling with some sort of health condition, or it could be as simple as you're not reaching your fullest potential. Well, I found a solution. Isabella Nutrition's here to transform your life, show you the incredible healing power of nature. Let me just introduce to you Isabella Bradford Johnson, a skilled naturopathic nutritionist with a passion for showing you how to achieve optimum health, well-being, with tailor-made nutrition and lifestyle plans. She'll show you how to fill your life with vitality, renewed energy. Now, Isabella firmly believes that your body holds the key to your healing. She just wants to show you how to unlock it. Through the power of lifestyle and diet changes, Isabella will show you how to heal from within. Be that best version of yourself. Now, whether you're looking to improve your overall health or target a specific area, maybe it's gut or hormonal issues where she specialises, Isabella will have expert guidance and support to show you how to have a future filled with joy. Now, it's not about quick fixes, short-term solutions. No, it's about long-term transformation, sustainable results. So stop waiting to take care of your health. Go down to www.isabellabradfordjohnsonnutritionist.uk. Book a consultation with Isabella today. Embark on a journey filled with health, vitality, lasting well-being. Isabella Nutrition, empowering you to live your healthiest life.
Maybe there's something in this for somebody else, right? So maybe there's a sacrifice with having to go back to the past. You know, I don't want to be exploring this again, but maybe there's something in this.
Someone might feel
maybe
what you're saying because you're being that vulnerable.
Yeah, well, don't feel it too much. You know, I don't want you to go.
No,
you know,
just be mindful. Take a moment if this is triggering to just.
Yeah, no, it's cool. You know, thank God I'm 2 years clean, and you know, I've been back on a pathway of sobriety for the last 4 or 5 years, right? A couple of relapses in between, for whatever reason. We don't really need to explore that now. It could be because of whatever. But so once I'd had this brown slug. That was it then. It started to creep in. Kind of figured someone to go and score it from. We used to go down to Levenshulme on the A6, and you'd always see somebody that kind of looked like they were on it. You'd be able to get kind of, then you'd end up with a couple of numbers and back into, and you know, we met some real shady characters, and we got up to some real horrendous stuff. You know, we were hanging about with prostitutes and you know, use your imagination as to what was kind of going down.
I mean, we don't need to get graphic.
Well, I mean, we can.
It's up to you.
You know, but it wasn't cool. You know, it just wasn't a cool situation. We were 24. You know, we're still young lads. Do you know what I mean? Still babies, right? And getting up to this kind of mischievous, deviant shite was it was horrific. We were caught in a bloody spiral, mate. We were caught in a spiral for many years. This had been going on from the age of 13. And then, and then jail came with that. And this timeline's kind of all over the place.
So why jail?
Jail, because I was a prolific offender.
Okay.
Just prolific. Somewhat violent. Manic. Shoplifter. And they'd always take pity on me, you know. They didn't give me jail till it was the last.
It was like, look, mate, give us no other choice.
Well, I was homeless, right? And just throwing that I died several times through overdose. You know, it was like I was living a horrific life. You know, I was a smacking crackhead, right? Like I was down there at the bottom of hell where nobody should go. There's not many people in this world that ever come back from crack, cocaine, and heroin addiction. You know, and you know, not many people come back as pretty looking as me either. You know, just throw that in. You know, I'm looking kind of pretty. But it was, you know, there's not many people that, number one, try crack and heroin. You know, it's down there.
Well, people just, there was always the thing that I was like, nah. Like I was a bad addict. I'm smoking 50 pounds of weed, teeth falling out. But there was something in me that clearly just went, whatever happens, not that. So you're right, it's not that common, but you're there now.
Totally in it, you know. And behaviours were all over the bloody show, completely insane. And you know, the services seem to always take pity on me though, you know, and it certainly was like, you know, take pity on this bloody lad, you know, because I was still kind of like, you know, I was only young and, you know, somewhat baby-faced and, you know, still, you know, I was kind of, you know, intelligent, and I came from a loving background, you know, and I guess when the drugs were out of my system, if I ever got there after 2 or 3 days, you know, some sort of sanity started to appear, and people, you know, they used to like me for that, you know, and they used to take pity on me for that, I guess. I wasn't a monster, you know, certainly not. I was doing things because I was driven to that, you know, I was totally driven to that, not because I wanted to do things, I was driven.
And did this get to a certain apex?
Yeah, so, you know, I got arrested. I went into a shop where they had sat-navs, and I think I took 8 boxes of sat-navs.
You didn't know where you were going.
Yeah, yeah. I was trying to find my way. You know, I was always trying to find my way. But 8 boxes of sat-navs, walked out and got chased down by the security team, ended up in a fight with these guys, then got you know, held down and arrested by this policeman who was completely insane. Now, I don't hold anything against the police, you know. They were doing their job. In fact, a lot of them, again, took pity on me and gave me good advice and tried the best. But this policeman was fucking insane. So he put these handcuffs on me and he twisted my arms that bad. I was in terrible pain. He was going, "What's your name? What's your name?" And because of the pain and the torture that he was putting me under while he was twisting my arms and my bones out of the bloody socket, I was really resistant to that, and I was like, "Fuck you, I'm not telling you my name," you know, and he'd twist harder and harder. Eventually the pain was too much. He was always almost snapping my arms where I just told him my name, you know, "My name's Ben Riley," and he threw me in the back of his van and he just laid into me, like battered me, you know, and then he slammed the doors shut and he got into the van and he just started driving like erratic, and then swerving the van intentionally to knock me back in two, in the back of this wagon. And he was screaming as he was doing it, and he must have been doing 60, and he pressed on the brake, and I slammed back into the, and he came back into the wagon and then started battering me, yeah. And I just like, what in God's name is going on here, you know? Now, I've been with the lowest of the low, right? I've been with some crazy ass people, but nobody like this, you know. This guy was completely nuts. And he gets back into the car and he drives to Cheetah police station, back into the van, and he drives to Cheetah police station and he's screaming again. And what I got onto was that he was screaming because he wanted his station to think that it was me making a noise. And as he's pulled into the station, he's on his radio, he's going, "Sarge, we've got a spitter, he's bloody, he's nuts, he's crazy, but Sarge." So what happens then? So they all run out and jump in the back of the wagon and they hands on. I mean, they didn't leather me, but they bloody roughed me up.
Didn't tickle you either?
No, they didn't tickle me, no. They, you know, picked me up and frog marched me by me out. And I couldn't believe just the insanity of this bloke, right? So as they got us to the desk and they stood me up, this bloke had to stand there, and there were several other officers standing there because they thought obviously that I was some sort of violent risk, right? And you know, he stood there and I'm looking him in the eyes, and I'm just saying, how could you do that to somebody that's just insane, like
inhumane.
You're wrong for that, like you must be really, really ill, you know. I feel really sorry for you, mate, you know. How can you go home and sleep at night? And I wouldn't break eye contact with him, and I was just kept repeating these things almost out of, you know, I guess I kind of felt sorry for him, like, not, you know.
It's funny, I get this image of you, bloody broken,
absolutely,
heroin addict, and you're the one going, "I feel sorry for you."
Yes. And he's looking me in the eyes, and I'm just saying, like, how dare you do that to me? How dare you make out that I'm the violent woman? It's you. And I'm speaking to a sergeant saying, "It's not me, Sergeant. You know, this guy's not right. He needs help. He needs a doctor." And I'm looking him in the eyes, and eventually his face just changed and dropped, and I've gone, "Aha, gotcha." And it was then that I knew that I'd won. It wasn't him. I'd won that battle, right? But it was from there that I got led to the courts, and I saw my solicitor. My solicitor's like, look, you haven't got a place to bloody live. It's not looking good. You're probably going to get remanded, which means you get taken to jail. I said, but just let me check in with housing, and kind of see what's going on there. And I think I'd been making some sort of, although I was really ill and kind of really stuck on the drugs, I've been making some sort of connections with the housing to try and get somewhere. And the solicitor comes running back in after an hour or two. She said, I've got some great news for you. She says, your housing officer's got you a lovely little flat. She says, I know where it is. She says, it's on Stockport Market. It's just a self-contained flat. There's a chance that we can, not get you off with this, but we'll look at probation, we'll look at tag, we'll look at community service. And I was just buzzing. I thought, this is my chance to sort things out. And I was just so excited to have my own place. I've been homeless for ages. And,
how long for?
Oh, 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
You've
been homeless for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
This
opportunities come from all this hell that I've been through. And I get into the courts, and solicitor says a piece, and I'm thinking, this is, she said a great speech, and defence was great, and then the judge turns around and says, no, I'm sorry, we're going to sentence you to, it's like 18 months. I was like, what?
So like the...
Oh, that was it. And then I'm sat in a bloody sweat van, which is one of the vans that they take you to jail in. It's literally the size of this chair, so you're in this little kind of compartment, and there's people in front of you, people behind you, and just a nightmare, just thinking, oh my God. Jail went really fast, I can hardly remember it.
Okay.
I got to jail first couple of days. A lad comes running into my pad, and he says, what have you said about my mum? And it's like, what are you on about, mate? I'm like, and he's just gone bang and just whacked me. So I fucking leathered him. I took everything out on him and battered him everywhere, and he goes running out the pad, and I ran after him and dragged him back. But then the next day, his mate wanted to fight me. His mate was like 6 foot odd, and this was breakfast time, and he came up to me, and although he was 6 foot odd, he couldn't fight, and I was always a bit of a fighter. I had a twin brother. That's all we bloody did with each other was fight, right? So
I'm training all my life.
I've trained all my life for this, man. So yeah. So this lad, he couldn't fight. He goes to swing this bloody haymaker, and you just saw it coming, and I dodged out the way and spilt my bloody Rice Krispies, and the screw, stopped the fight and just said we were messing, and we had to go into our pads. And I said to my pad mate, I said, what? I was scared though. This guy's massive. And if you're going into any sort of violent confrontation with young men, you better be bloody scared. You'd be totally insane if you're not. I said, what am I going to do? He said, you're going to have to fight him. I was like, fuck. I thought there might be another way.
I was hoping you had
there was only
goal number 2.
Goal number 2 now? It was like, oh shit. So I was like, what? So I at association time, which was kind of halfway through the day, I reckon, I came out of the pad, and I saw him standing, fucking around, and I walked past him and said, get into the showers, mate. I'm just gonna have to fight him. And I'm stood there waiting for him to come in the showers, and he comes in with this bloody big yard brush. Now, I mean, you might think like, shit, you know, he's got a massive weapon, but I knew that you got a big yard brush.
You must be a bit scared yourself.
Yeah, you're scared yourself, and also you're not going to be able to swing it very much. You know, the size of a yard brush to actually get the level.
It wasn't a wide choice.
No. You need it. Listen, you want to hit someone with a stick, it better be a short stick. You know, not a bloody big brush, because it doesn't have
the
any.
reason why the police might have a baton.
Yeah, it doesn't have any energy in the top end of it, you know. So I'm thinking, so right, so yeah, he's gone to hit me with it. I grabbed it off. I grabbed the end of the brush, pulled it back. He's pulled back, and boom, that's gone into his bloody face. Because obviously, I just shoved it in his face and you know, give him a bit of a kick in, but. That was me. Then I've been in, I've been in a couple of fights. The screws had to break it up. Ended up down the block, and then being shipped out to Home House, which was just near Newcastle. You know, so I'm with all these kind of Geordies, and it was. But you know, from what I remember, it was quite quiet. I had a couple of run-ins with a couple of dickhead pad mates. One that, you know. He wouldn't let me bloody watch. He wouldn't let me watch any. You had to watch sports or nothing, or you couldn't have it on. You know. So when the pad door opened in the morning.
No Harry Potter for you. Then.
No Harry Potter. When the pad door opened in the morning, I just said to the screw, I said, "Get me out of this fucking pad before I kill him." You know. And he was like, "Oh, what?" And he was like, "Get me out before I kill him." And
so how long were you in prison for at this point then now?
Well, I've been in probably for about 5 weeks.
Okay.
Then the next lad, you know, I can. So my dad, when I was a kid, my dad used to tuck us into bed, right, really tight, and I started to do that for myself in prison. I used to like that feeling of being tucked in tight. You know, it was kind of comforting. Probably was that inner child wanting to reach out for my dad, wanting to reach out for my parents,
safe now.
and just being safe and tucked in. It's probably not a good thing to do when you're in prison, and you know, sleeping with pad mates that you don't bloody know. So I was padded up with this young lad. He was probably, you know, I don't know, 21, 22 or something, and I was on the top bunk, and I was just kind of like under this, you know, tight fitting blanket, you know, and all cozy, and we were kind of chatting about something, and I don't know what it was that I said, but he didn't like it, and he jumped out of his pad, out of his bed.
You're in your self-made straight jacket.
Yeah, exactly that. I'm in this straight jacket, and he's walking up and down this bloody pad like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you. And I'm not daft. I was fucking livid inside. I mean, livid. But I knew that by the time I got out of this bloody self-made straitjacket, he'd have had too much advantage. And I'd say, I'm sorry, mate. Yeah, I'm really sorry. And you know, look, while you're in a space like this, and I just have to add, you know, I'm certainly not relishing in telling you these stories. While you're in a space like jail, you know, the best thing to do is to always diffuse violence and diffuse things, but
not even just jail.
Yeah, but
especially in jail.
In jail, you kind of got to bring it.
Oh, okay.
You know, which was unfortunate for this lad, because you know, when I'd apologised and he settled down, I've obviously picked out the covers, and I had to get up and, you know, I had to tell him what day it was as well. So there was just all these bloody altercations through jail, and that's all I can really remember.
Okay, so you've had them. You finally come out then after what? Was it 18 months that you came out?
No, I think I ended up doing like 8 months or something.
Okay, yeah. What's waiting for us then?
Yeah, so like we got a bit of time back. The jails were full. You got time for good behaviour, and then you got like 30 days thingy. So I actually remember, you know, I was big on, you know, I mean, smoking was always my thing. I was a smoker, you know. Cigarettes. I was a frontline trooper when it came to smoking. And you're getting debt on the wing, and then you pay your debts off and stuff. And I can remember being sat there in my pad, and the screw comes knocking on, and then he starts rattling his keys and opening the door. I'm thinking, what the bloody hell's going on, like? And he comes in and he says, Riley, you know, it's time to go pack your stuff. I said, fuck off, boss.
Taking the piss.
You taking the piss? He's like, listen, pack your stuff now and get up, otherwise I'm locking this fucking door. I went, yeah. But I owed loads of money on the you know, on the wing. So I'm like, right, okay. So I keep packing my stuff up, and I've come out, and all the guys that I owe money to are watching, and I've just given them a thumbs up. Like, see you later, guys. Like, they're fucking livid, you know, but they can't say anything. They've been selling tobacco and stuff, and you know, whatever else. Probably been getting Subutex in there and crushing them up and starting. So all sorts of stuff was going on. Anyhow, ended up leaving, and I think they gave you a gyro, which was about 70 odd quid, which straight away went on 4 cans of Stella and getting pissed again. So
he's straight back into
the madness. Straight back into the madness, and also, you know, I think I had a post office account, and I've not touched it obviously since I've been in bloody jail, right? And I didn't think there was anything bloody in there. I'd been out for a couple of weeks, and went shopping with a friend of mine, Mandy, to the Asda, and as it happens, the Asda in Hazel Grove, they have a bloody post office in there. I don't think it's there anymore, but they used to have a post office like in the Asda. And I said, I'll just go and, you know, I thought there might be a few quid in there, I might be able to get some chocolates or something. And went and
a biscuit.
Yeah, a little bit of biscuits, pack of pickies. And so I went and checked this account, and there's something like 998 quid in there. And I was like,
eyes just lit up.
Oh, you know, I'd probably not seen as much money, you know. And I went, yeah, you know, can I take it all out, please? And she went, no, you can only have £600 at a time or something. I went, yeah, that'll do, no worries. And but that was me again. And this is the sad state of it. It's if even jail isn't a big enough consequence, you know, what is? You know, I just couldn't ever see consequences. I didn't have that ability to look at my own behaviours, and even if I did, I think there was a voice of justification, or, you know, like a warrior of justification stood there going, halt! No, you're doing this because, or this is the reason you're doing it, or you know, just justifying as to why I should be on the bottom of the bloody pile, you know, using drugs every single fucking day. You know, I was surrounded in this cocoon of insanity, not able to live a normal life, where what you see today is a man of high value, high integrity, high morals, high standing, kind, considerate, loving. I'm a friend, I'm a family member, I'm a colleague, I'm a mentor, I'm an associate, I'm somebody you can smile to, you know, in the street. I'll buy you a bloody coffee, I'll take you and buy you clothes if you've got no clothes. I'll do anything to help people, you know, achieve their own goals, whether it's, you know, taking them through the 12-step program, taking them to the first Cocaine Anonymous meeting, you know, creating a pathway towards rehab, you know, listening to what skills and what excites you in life and wrapping professionals around you to help you attain, some sort of purpose-filled life. That's the type of man I am, yet I could never ever achieve that because I was so bloody ill. And as exciting and funny and kind of, sometimes maybe cool and interesting as my life used to sound, it fucking wasn't. Today I'm living. I wasn't living then, I was reacting. I wasn't responding, I was reacting to a mental disease of addiction that I could not control.
Well, I tell you what then, we've because I don't think all that Ben Riley is that darkness. So at what point does the light start coming in?
So, yeah, and I think we spoke about this, Michael. We spoke about being able to meet somebody who had been there before.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mentioned that before. And so I got out of jail and, I was using again, and I was in this lad's bedroom on an estate in Stockport, and this guy was 45 and his mate was 50, and we were injecting heroin into our arms, and I overdosed and died. They brought me back with amphetamine, so they had to run across the road, get some amphetamine, and come back and inject me with it, right? And they brought me back to life. I just remember sat there feeling like shit. Every bit of my skin was like pins and needles on fire, and kind of looking up at these two men who were old and they looked ill, and they were stereotypical drug addicts, and thinking, I'm going to be doing this until I'm their age. And with that, I thought, I have to do something. I have to do something different. I have to ask for help. And that's what I did. I started to look, and it's funny they say, seek and you shall find. It's so true. It's like you can have whatever you want. And I want to change, and I started to seek it. And I found this halfway house, and I managed to get a meeting with these two beautiful women that ran the halfway house, and they said, look, if you can get here, on this day at this time, we'll interview you and see whether we can, get you somewhere to live, because I was homeless again. Cool, okay, so I get to this place. I think I'd managed to use heroin that day, so I wasn't feeling too ill. You feel really ill when you don't have heroin. And, I'm speaking to these women, they're asking me all these questions, and I'm like, I am using, but I will just stop, and And I just thought, because I was, quite charming. I was quite charming, and these two women were laughing, and I was, I'm good at talking with people. I'm good at connecting with people. And they said, just go right outside for a minute. And I thought, this is my chance, right? Like, I can't, this is my chance to get clean. And they said, right, come back in now, Ben. I was like, okay, cool. And they said, okay, so, we've had a chat, and we just need to tell you that, you're too high risk. We can't take you in.
I know people who've had that. It must be.
Mate, I burst out crying, because there was some of me, and I said this a couple of times, and this has happened again, which I'll tell you about. When you're praying to God, and you think God's doing this, when you think God has forsaken you, like Jesus Christ, he said, God, why have you forsaken me, when he was on the cross, hands nailed to the feet nailed to the cross, stabbed in the side, jeered at by the whole bloody town, you know, and he's like, God, why have you forsaken me? It was that moment, you know, it's a true story, that the one of Christ. It's a story that's within all of us. It's like, God, why have you forsaken me? And I just burst out crying, you know. I was like, what? But I think within that moment, them two lovely women took pity on me, right? You know, and they said, look, he said, we're just going to take a chance. He said, there's a bloke, and he lives at this place. He said, but he does not do drugs. He used to. Let us speak to him. We might be able to get you into this place. There is a room spare. And I thought, what? This is one bloody emotional roller coaster, right? It's up and down. And they managed to get me in, and this man was Darren Lang, and I just promised, I said, I'm not gonna. So I did this rattle. You know, the rattle is when you stop taking heroin and you know, other drugs, and it starts to come out your system, and it's horrific. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
You're talking train spotting.
Oh, train spotting. You can't sleep, you're being sick, you're throwing up bile, you've got stomach cramps, your legs can't stop moving and cycling, and it's just horrific. And I thought, I just don't want to use drugs anymore. I was so sick of them. And they did offer me some drugs to come down. I said, I don't want them. And I didn't have any glasses at the time, and because I couldn't sleep, my eye was lazy, my eye had gone into my bloody nose, so I'm walking around looking like, oh, I was a mess.
I don't mean to laugh.
No, it's a funny, no, it was, you know, I was like, just, you know, I was just looking my lowest self, right? And Darren dragged me round to all these meetings. Narcotics Anonymous meetings, and I managed to get 30 days clean, and then a bloody pick up. I just didn't understand that I couldn't ever use drink or drugs again. I couldn't, because it kickstart this whole phenomenon of craving again, right?
I mean, I can relate. I'm never to that level.
Yeah.
But even myself, getting loaned, lying to mum, lying to friends, lying to girlfriends, just hating my life. But what else? What that's all I do. That's all I know.
How do you change from that?
Yeah, it's just I'm doing it on my own.
Yeah.
Like, and it got to the point where it was only weed left. Does that make sense? But I felt like it had been, apart from those extra hard drugs, everything you can think of, to women, gambling, porn, cigarettes, binge drink. And when all of that was gone, it was just the weed. I'm spending £50 a day.
Yeah.
Blunts. And I'm going, not that high though. And it's like, and I'm giving that, and this was power stuff. So it just gets to that point where I knew I could. I don't know if you felt the same way. And there was something that I know it's possible, but fuck me, how's that going to ever change? Well, where's it coming from even?
How did you start?
Don't mean to plug meditation with Michael, but there's other stuff as well. There's taking care of my physical health. There's taking therapy. IFS with a fantastic therapist, Aaron Laidler, and people supporting me. Lots of different stuff, but eating healthier, the 7 holistic health, working on the mental, the physical. But then with the meditation, brother, I learned to witness a sensation. Once you can witness a sensation, you realise if I'm witnessing it, I can't be it then. How can I be something? I'm looking at Ben Riley, I can't be Ben Riley then. Let's not get too, we're all one.
No, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I know it's not about me, but as you asked, it was just, then once you witness the feeling, you realise it passes. And it was just being brave enough to hold that feeling.
Yeah.
That's all this drug addiction had been seeking to escape a feeling, a sensation. And when you get to the point, and it's, again, simplifying, it's back and forth. weed addiction, a little bit like a few days off, weed addiction, a few weeks off, weed addiction, a few months off, weed addiction.
But you kept trying.
Kept coming back, and it's just, the thing I would say is persistence.
Yeah.
Now this is Who on Earth is Ben Riley. What was it for you?
No, absolutely, mate. Again, it's persistence. I really like what you said about, being brave enough, to go on this adventure into this unknown. It's an unknown path, totally unknown. In fact, I dare to say that we'd ever adventured before, although it kind of seemed like an adventure, smoking weed and taking coke and other drugs, and kind of seemed like an adventure, but it's really not.
It's to Mordor.
It's to Mordor, and it's futile.
Not Narnia, this.
But it's not, and there's no gold at the end. There's no gold at the end of it. There's gold at the end of an adventure, and
the hero's journey is to bring something back.
You've got to bring something back to grow. Now, maybe mine was the longest hero's journey ever, right? It was, Darren takes me on to these things, and I start to learn a new way to live, right? As you just, eloquently articulated, is that you started to learn different tools, and same here, I started to learn different tools around the metaphysical being, introspectively looking at self. So what's that in English? Just being able to, watch for them feelings, watch for them thoughts, realise that I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my feelings, allow them to pass. I think, sometimes we can kind of woo-woo it all and talk about the metaphysical and the spiritual, and, which is okay, but, for anybody listening to this that's not really into that kind of stuff, I just had to kind of attempt to watch what was going on inside.
Almost surrender to it.
And also, what I had at first was somebody to talk to about what was going on inside. So I was told to check myself before I wreck myself, right? So if I was going to make a big decision, I'd ring up my, I had a mentor called a sponsor, and I had somebody, I had a support network where I could ring them up and say, such and such a body's done this, I'm just about to go round to the house, knock on and smash the fucking heads in. What do you think it's a good idea? And then we'd explore that feeling. We'd actually explore the truth behind that feeling, and we'd also explore what my part was to play in these what I actually realised was I was responsible for everything that had gone wrong in my life.
That's the R word.
Yes, I was responsible for everything that had gone wrong. And as I accepted that I was responsible, I started to find abilities to be able to respond to it.
There's now something you can do, right?
There's something I can do.
You're responsible, you're not a victim.
I'm responsible, I'm not a victim anymore. You can, we all play roles on this earth, and if you're playing the role of a victor, a winner, then you can't be playing the role of a victim.
It's one or the other.
It's one or the other, So yes, you start to play the higher roles, So, you start to become a creator, you start to become a magician, you start to become of high value, you start to understand your thoughts, you start to be able to choose your actions rather than reacting, you start to respond. All of this kind of cool stuff going on, and starting to really find out who Ben actually was. I was a great MC, a great music artist.
So when does that come in then?
So that comes in like the first kind of year that I was clean.
Nice.
I managed to hook back up with my best mate who I missed terribly, and I was like...
Do I give him a shout out?
Yeah, big shout out to Redikin, I don't see him anymore, He actually won, his mum and dad won the lottery, £11,165,334. If you're listening to this, Redican, let me know whether I'm wrong or right, but that is a number that I'll probably never forget. And, you know, things change. Do you know, like, I mean, that was a kickstart of an adventure for him and his family, and you know, they went off to do some amazing things and live their life, which, you know, would be, I mean, phenomenal or not with that money, who knows, but anyway, you know, lives kind of split, don't they? But we got space to work on an album called Organised Chaos. Yeah, you like that, because that's what started to happen. I started to organise chaos.
Bit of structure now.
Yeah, I was a child of chaos, you know. I started to bring some order into that, and you know, we explored like my music and artistry, and like made this cool album, and then I did a little bit of drum and bass. Did like a 10-minute drum and bass mix. This promoter heard that. Big shout out to Dave D from Oh My God, and then he booked me to play at Sound Control. Was like my first night.
How was that for you?
What?
How was that for you?
Oh mate, it was like, I think there was like 450 people. I was emceeing with Sapo, who was the Radio 1 Extra drum and bass DJ, and I had 10 minutes worth of drum and bass bars to do an hour set with, right? So I had to keep repeating the bars, did a little bit of freestyle, but absolutely loved it. And I remember setting the place on fire, got everybody to hold up the lighters, and I was like, yo, you know, and I knew I had something, I could always ride the music and stuff, and slowly built myself up as, you know, a drum and bass MC, and, you know, got to know loads of cool people within the scene, which was networking, right? And then decided to put on my own event. I think it was called The Matrix or something at the time, something crazy.
Are we Ben SOS at this point?
No, I was Riley B at this point. Riley B with a high IQ, say hi to him and say hi to you. It's like some crazy old school bars there, which is like my first ever bars. And it was like fucking Riley B. And everyone used to call me Riley B. That was my name on the street, Ben Riley B. And it was, it was kind of crazy. I was getting kind of all these.
There you go. I told you it cuts out a bit abruptly, didn't I? If you go back, you'll see the little silver bit of the XLR cable that's meant to be in a mic, just lying there on the table. But hopefully the sound quality was still good through the iPhone, and it gave us a reason to get Ben back in for part 2. You're going to see his relapse. You're going to see how he then uses all this to create things like the Drywave, how all that sort of stuff was born as well. But guys, that's next week. Digest what Ben's giving you, because, you know, for someone to be that authentic, share such depth of pain and struggle, failures, mistakes, successes, you got to take my hat off to him. So, guys, follow Drywave, follow Ben SOS, go and check out the Transmute crew. Don't forget about Carry Tree and Cushiony Love coming down if it's before the 10th of December 23. I swear to you, them tickets will not be something you'll be regretting. Go check out Isabella Nutrition as well, and your boy Meditation with Michael. Until next week, guys, I'll have to love you and leave you. Peace and love.